Some of you may know me and some of you may not. For those that do know me, you probably know me from my cosplaying, my costuming, my acting, my singing, or one of my many other triple threats adventures. Well, today I'd like to tell you guys about my newest endeavor, and that is my writing adventure. But before we get into that, my name is Mia Vasquez for those who do not know me. And my book that will be coming out is called Forgotten Babylon. You might be wondering, what is Forgotten Babylon about? Well, for starters, you can kind of tell from the title, it does have to do with Babylon. I pulled from primarily the adventures of Gilgamesh and Enkidu. I would like to start with our lovely leading lady, Arwen. Arwen is influenced not just by Enkidu, who is a man in the original myths, but I decided to make a female character. It was a little tempting to keep a male and possibly even add a little romance to that, but I decided against it. That we can save for another book. Because, relationships, all different kinds, all different types. Now, let's get into her more. She is a compassionate character, strong-willed but stubborn. She begins her life very innocent, but she becomes more warrior-like because she doesn't want to let Anu down. Like, her whole life purpose is to make Anu proud. She wants to make the gods proud. She doesn't ever want to disappoint them. That's her whole reason to live. And this is where we kind of drag in our second main character, which is Gilmos. And if his name doesn't tell you it, he is based strongly off of Gilgamesh. I did, however, decide to attempt to make him more like the people would look during that time. But I left it open also to your imagination because I tried to write in a way that I gave you direction to how the characters were, but to still let your mind run rampant. In the future, I may add drawings to my book. That is a possibility. Mainly because I do want artwork at some point. But, oh, excuse me. That's a possibility. I just have to do it later because I want you guys to read it, use your imagination, and then I'm going to show you what they look like. So, Gilmos is tyrannical, stubborn, egotistical, thinks he's all that in a bag of potato chips, and he doesn't really like the gods. And yes, he is a demigod, much like Gilgamesh was. But Arwen is going to bring balance to that. The two of them are going to balance each other out. And without giving you the full spill on the story, I'm just going to give you this little hint. Kind, compassionate, selfish tyrant. Kind of, typically, if that were to happen in real life, the selfless person might learn to love themselves a little more and realize the whole world, yes, it's okay to care about the whole world, but you also got to care for yourself. A selfish person might learn compassion. And so with that said, that's a little hint as to what these two characters are going to go through and how they're going to grow and develop. And now that leads us into our evil character, the Enchantress Inu. Now, she is actually very much her own spill. Like, I did get influenced by Morgan Le Fay for her, because I'm a huge King Arthur. That has nothing to do with Babylon, I know, but I made her an enchantress, so had to think inspire somewhere. But overall, she's her own thing, and I wanted to make her unique in her own way and empowering in her own way. But I still wanted her to be able to stand tall with some of the greatest magic users of all time. So I had to give her that connivingness and stunningness and feminine appeal, as they say. And then we have our support character, Tomoko. Tomoko, there's some irony, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to read what the irony is with him. But he's going to help Arwen in so many ways. He's going to help Arwen understand how humans work. He's going to help her better get the king as to why he is the way he is, because one of the nice things about the book is you're going to get to see Arwen as a child, Gilmos as a child, and Inu as a child. So you will get to see how they became who they became and why they became who they became. Naturally, it doesn't justify necessarily, because, you know, it's not good to be a bad person no matter what you've been through. But to give you a little bit of a humanity to them was my goal, ultimately. And on top of digging through Babylonian myths and mythology, I had to dig through Grecian, I had to dig through Egyptian and Roman, and I had mentioned Celtic earlier, which is how we get Arwen quite a bit, because I took a lot from the idea of what fays were like. And even for the main enchantress, Morgan Le Fay is also known for being the queen of the fairy folk in some versions. The enchantress is not a fae at all, though, in my book, even though she is influenced by Morgan Le Fay. She's strictly a demigod enchantress. And anyway, with all that said, the reason I did that is because as I started to study and research these characters, there's so much of Babylon that is no longer, and we can't ever get the full story of the epic heroes that were. And there's so much of Roman that is no more. But what's interesting is when you dig into history, sometimes you find out that people worship the same gods, they just gave them different names. And with that said, the fact that they had different names, but they had the same type of powers, kind of led me to believe, like, okay, maybe this is the same god. And so with that, I tried to fill in the holes in the blank. Like, one thing is there's a reference to the god of chaos, which is also known as Hades. I don't call him Hades in this. I call him by his Babylonian name. And so there's a little venture that, again, I don't want to give too many spill bits, but I think you will enjoy if you like Roman and Greek mythology, because they all kind of play into each other. And even in the adventures of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, there is a passage that hints off that Gilgamesh wanted to go to the underworld to get Enkidu back. Does Arwen die in the book? You're probably wondering. I'm not going to tell you that. You got to read it and figure it out. Because if I told you everything, why would you read it? So, now the other nice thing about this book is we have tons of mystical creatures, which also took a lot of digging, because the Babylonian artwork that they have left is little scubits. Like, I actually found out that they had stories of vampires in Babylonian stories, but they're very lost. They also had the sirens and the mermaids. So had to pull from other things to be like, okay, well, maybe this is how they were. And again, it's fiction, so if I'm not right, that's okay. This is my idea of maybe how it connects in my own mind and imagination. You can agree or disagree. Just like with my characters and who I ship them with, you may not agree with that. That's okay. And I'm fine if you don't agree with that. I'm totally open to your ideas of who you think they might be. Because there is a possibility, if I like how this goes, that maybe I'll make a spin-off of some of my characters. Or maybe I'll make a future thing about their descendants. There's so many possibilities. But let's live in the here and now. So, the other thing is, besides all these wonderful monsters and mystical creatures in there, for some reason people really, really like the dragons. So originally, I wasn't going to give my dragons a big moment to shine. But the people who pre-reviewed it during its polishing days, they really liked the dragons. And I really like dragons too. I decided when I reread my book, because I didn't take all the ideas that everyone said, but I reread my book. I'm like, maybe the dragons do need a little information. And I do think that may open other books someday, possibly. Would they be the same universe? Maybe, maybe not. It just depends. Now, I've been kind of spewing on and on and on. I want to end with that there are some furry friends in the book, and some of those furry friends are based off of my real babies, my real fur babies in real life, and who have passed away. So the book is also a dedication to them. A little secret for you. I won't tell you which ones are. Obviously not the dragons, because I never had a pet dragon. Nobody can have a real pet dragon. Would be nice if we could. But like, they do mention a dog in the book. So, and there's also a dog that I didn't know that someone told me about that was very special to me. So, there's that too. But there are things that are influenced by real fur for animals. Because on top of being a writer, I'm also a pet sitter. Yes, one of my other crazy talents. But I do want to give the animals a moment to shine in the book as well. So even though they're little tiny support characters, they are important. Now, what else is there? Please go ahead and view more of my videos to get updates. Whether you're viewing this through YouTube, or if you're viewing this through my website, or through Facebook, I welcome you to join me in my next videos, because I will give you more spiel bits on my book, and more little sneak peeks, and more information. So if you like fantasy, if you like romance, if you like action adventure, and if you like some sword fighting, there is all of that in there, and more. I strongly encourage you to read the book, give it a chance, and I really hope to see you read it. And if I don't get to see it, I hope to know that you did at least. So I think that's about it for now. Since I am going to post this on YouTube for sure, if you have questions about the book or things you'd like me to explain in a future video, please just comment down below. If you're doing this from my website, you can go ahead and email me. I'm happy to try to fill you in on more. I'm not going to give huge spoilers though, because again, that defeats the purpose of buying the book, and then you wouldn't need the book. I may add drawings in the book in the future. I'm not planning to do that with first edition, but I would like to do that with like second edition, because I want... Being a writer is great, and helping people imagine is great, but I also want to leave room for you guys to imagine too, how you see the beautiful Faye Arwen, how you see the egotistical, cocky, arrogant Gilmos, and how you see the evil enchantress in you, and how you see the caring, kind, supporting, yet kind of jealous Tomoko. That way you can see the characters how you think they would be. And I also kind of left a lot of room with the gods, because even though they are based off of gods that have been in history, I want you to be able to imagine, how do you think they look? How do you think they are? Within the context of what you're reading. Because some of the greatest books I've ever read as a child, and even as a young adult, are the ones that, although they gave me the box of that world, they left room for my mind to wander. And that kept me interested. And so I will continue to give you guys details, and when the book is out, I will let you know where you can purchase it. And I look forward to giving you guys another update. And it's been so great talking to all of you. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity and privilege to expand myself as a writer, and for my own creativeness in another form that is not necessarily new to me, but something I haven't touched on in a long time, and that I'm hoping that can be more, because the greatest thing as a creator is, can I create more with this one thing? Even if it ends up being this one book is only part of this universe, just the opportunity to create something and to possibly create other books, other scripts, and for it to be something else someday is just amazing. So thank you, all of you.